You spent $400 on that flight to Miami. The airline, they made maybe $20. But the airport, they made over $50, just from you walking through their doors. Every year, airports pull in over $180 billion globally. Not from flights, not from fuel, from something much more clever. And once you see how this money machine actually works, you'll never look at your layover the same way again. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to break down exactly how airports turned into some of the most profitable real estate on earth. Because here's what most people don't realise. Airports aren't transportation companies. They're landlords. Very, very expensive landlords. Most people think airports make money from airlines. Wrong. Let me show you what really happens when you book that $400 flight. The airline pays the airport about $15 in landing fees, another $8 for gate rental, and that's $23 in total. But here is where it gets interesting. The moment you step into that airport, you become a captive customer in the world's most expensive shopping centre. And unlike a regular shopping centre, you literally cannot leave. Let me walk you through exactly how much money you generate for an airport during a typical trip. You arrive in park. The daily fee, $25. Airport cost to maintain that space, $2. A 92% profit margin. You decide to grab a coffee. That $7 Starbucks, well, they had to pay the airport 12% of every single sale, plus $500,000 minimum annual guarantee. So the airport makes 84 cents on your coffee without brewing a single bean. You shop duty free. Here's where the airport really gets smart. Duty free shops pay airports 25 to 40% of gross sales. That $50 bottle of perfume, the airport just made another $15. You have to take an Uber. The airport charges Uber $4 per pickup. Lyft, another $4. They're literally charging people to leave, and we pay for it, happily, because we've no other choice. So the total from your single trip: parking, $25, coffee, duty free, $15, taxi fee, $4, a total of $44.84. That $44 doesn't include any money that the airlines pay the airport to use the facilities. Now multiply that by 88 million passengers per year at the Los Angeles International Airport alone, and you can imagine how insane the scale gets. But here's the real genius. Airports have created the ultimate monopoly. You cannot compete with an airport. You can't just build another one next door. The government won't let you, and you need $10 billion in startup capital to do so. So airports can essentially charge whatever they want, and they do. Denver International Airport makes $1.8 billion annually. 65% of that comes from non-aeronautical sources. They're not running a transportation business. They're running a captive audience business. The good news for airports is we have no choice. It's like paying taxes. If you want to live in a country, you have to pay tax. If you want to travel anywhere, you'll have to pay the airport. And you might think this only applies to major international hubs, but even small regional airports rake in serious money using the exact same playbook. Take Burlington International Airport in Vermont, a small airport with just 700,000 passengers per year. Despite its size, it generates over $20 million annually, with more than half of that coming from non-aeronautical sources: parking, rental car commissions, retail leases, and food concessions. Their biggest moneymaker of all is long-term parking. It accounts for nearly 40% of their entire non-flight income. Even in small towns, they run the same captive audience model, just scaled down. Now contrast that with Dubai International Airport, the busiest airport in the world by international traffic. It made over $6 billion in revenue last year, and the staggering 48% came from non-aeronautical sources. That's billions made not from planes, but from shoppers, coffee drinkers, parking garages, and terminal real estate. Dubai's airport alone has over 100,000 square meters of retail space, with luxury brands like Cartier, Chanel, and Rolex paying millions just for the right to sell to exhausted travelers with nowhere to go. So whether it's a tiny airport in New England or a global mega hub in the Middle East, the model stays the same. Control space, control flow, control money. So here's how airports evolved into money printing machines. Strategy 1 was the concession con. Airports charge retailers 15 to 20% of gross sales plus a minimum annual guarantee. This means the airport wins either way. Strategy 2, the captive audience exploitation. Once you pass security, you're trapped. That's why a bottle of water costs $5 inside security, but just $2 outside of it. They know you can't leave and come back. This is captive audience capitalism, one of the most profitable business models ever made. So the key principles: create artificial scarcity, control the entire customer experience, stack multiple revenue streams, and build barriers to competition. Business 101. Companies like Apple do this with their App Store. Amazon does it with Prime. They all create environments where customers can't easily go anywhere else. So the next time you're stuck paying $14 for airport pizza, remember, you're participating in one of the most sophisticated revenue generation systems ever built. If this completely changed how you think about business models, hit that subscribe button, because every week we break down the real money-making strategies behind the world's most profitable industries. And let me know what the most overpriced thing you've ever bought at an airport is. And finally, next week, we're diving into even more powerful business models. Until then, remember, the best business models don't just sell products, they sell convenience to captive audiences.